You're watching the Tesla Live with your host, Mark Hovland. I can't hear you, Mark. Are you muted? I still can't hear
Can you hear me?
Ah, there we go. Now I can hear you.
To the Tesla Life number 340, where we're having a little bit of some technical difficulties. Casey's frozen. Oh, now he's back from frozen.
Yay, it's working now.
Casey and Moto are now unfrozen. And of course, we've got Patrick with us as we do every week. And just a little shout out to Patrick. Thanks for the intro, sir. And how are you today?
I am good. And last week I showed off something that Santa brought me, so I wanted to do that again. Check this out. My own little rocket, and it's even
not a flamethrower.
Yeah. Oops. The air quality monitor started beeping as soon as it was done.
Immediately.
He's eating all the oxygen in the room.
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, so you can't keep that lit for too long in that room.
Nope.
That's for sure.
Burning fossil fuels really does have an impact on air quality. We have scientific proof right there.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, welcome to the show. Casey Green is joining us from the Mid-Atlantic. How are you today, sir?
Doing quite well. Yes. She has no allergies, though. That's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So that was Moto you saw earlier and has now disappeared for a while. Who knows? She may be back. We will see.
We shall
see. Yeah, it's a lot of news this week. No surprise. Let's get right to it. Patrick's got our lead story, which of course is about some financials that we heard about. Not necessarily financials, but some numbers.
They do lead to financials. Yes, so Tesla has announced their fourth quarter results, and so that, of course, gives us all of our 2023 numbers. And in 2023, vehicles deliveries grew by 38% year over year to 1.81 million, while production grew 35% to 1.85 million. And, you know, that's every year we talk about what they did and whether or not it's going to be a record. And, of course, it is. Quarter after quarter, they're setting records. And we always guess what we think next year is going to be. And I don't know, do you have the results of our guesses from last year, Mark? Or
I'm still compiling them, so we'll have a little discussion about that today.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and the cool thing is we've got JT and Derek in the chat, and so last year we had a bunch of people in the chat throwing in their guesses as well. And one of the guesses was, of course, 2,420,069 vehicles. And I think we can carry that one over. That actually has a pretty good chance of being a 2024 number. But I don't want to anchor you guys. Come up with your own crazy numbers. So yeah, that's the short version of the story. Is a record quarter in Q4 2023. More vehicles than they've ever produced in history at 495,000. We'll just round up 11 vehicles to make that. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's again a jump, a record. And remember at the beginning of the year when we were talking about this, about formulating our number guesses, we had said that if everything was a perfect year, we expected them to be over 2 million. And then Elon, of course, had indicated that, well, you can't necessarily bet on everything going correctly for a full 12 months. And he thought that a 1.8 was a more realistic. So even though the 1.8 is where it ended up, just a little bit above that, as Patrick mentioned, the thing that gets me is that is that Wall Street is just never happy. Like it's
Never.
just it doesn't matter. Like as far as they're concerned, Tesla is sandbagging their numbers. Like the way that their displeasure, the stock price drop, just because it's off by whatever numbers they believe are true.
Well, it's worse than that. One of the folks in the circles that we run in has access to the Bloomberg terminal, and several of the analysts were still they had predicted 5,000 Cybertrucks and just left it there. There was no way that once we saw what was going on, they were going to do 5,000 Cybertrucks. Ooh, they missed. They didn't promise any Cybertrucks this quarter. Certainly not 5,000 of them.
And in the financial scheme of things, Cybertruck was irrelevant for 2023 and will be for the first half of 2024.
Not just Cybertruck. Most of their lineup, the Model S, Model X, Semi, and Cybertruck, were collapsed into other models.
Exactly. Those are their low-volume vehicles, and it's really about the Model 3 and Model Y, specifically the Model Y. So, yeah, to say they missed and so I'm going to downgrade or whatever is just ridiculous when you're looking at that. It should be about the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is another record quarter, another record year.
Yeah. How many months?
Yeah, it's not like we're looking at this. It's not like we're looking at this and this was a 12% decline year over year.
Right.
Like this is not a bad news story. Like not at all. Far from it. And if you look at the track record for the past now 4 or 5 years, this has been an ongoing up over quarter after quarter after quarter, year after year after year. This is a fantastic news story financially for any company. But Wall Street just does not see it that way, and I have a feeling never will.
I don't know. Their stock has performed pretty well. 2023 was a great year for Tesla stock, considering where it started and where it ended. I'm not going to complain as a shareholder.
Yeah, that's true. But let's go for some predictions here. Last year at this time, we asked the audience for predictions. We gave our predictions ourselves. My guess was 2.12. Casey was at 3.3. He was the optimist in the crowd. We had Patrick at 1.93. Friend of the show, Russell, 1.88.
Oh.
And our winner last year, Paul Gusak, his prediction this year was 2.15. Okay. Georgia, again, friend of the show, from the What Drives Us crew, 1.5 million. That was the pessimist in the crowd. Hockey D, 2.1 million. Now we're moving on to some people in the audience that are always with us. David G, 2.2. JT24, who's with us tonight, he voted at a 2.5. So not too far off. Derek, I guess this is the real pessimist in the group. This was a 1.44 million.
Oh, ouch.
Dana P at 1.69. Ronald at 2 million even. Mike at 3.14 million.
Ooh.
David W at 1.77. Kenny
That's
A at 1.47. Breakneck 2.42. Rick Wilson 2.67. And finally, Logical Roger at 3.31. And that rounds up our guesses from 2023. So you now know what I'm going to do. As of next week, I need guesses from everybody again in the chat room. Of course, the hosts will be guessing again, and we'll be looking at. We'll give you a week to think about it. Think where we're going with this, where production is heading, what factories have opened, what is ramped up, what is not, and we can come back with predictions, and we will log them again just like we did this year.
Awesome.
When is the presentation again? Next week?
It's at the end of the month, the 24th. Yeah,
well,
that's when
whatever number I
they're.
give you, I'm going to couch it.
What's that?
I said, whatever number I give you, I'm going to couch it.
You're gonna couch it. You're gonna try. I'd rather be under than over. So yeah. Unlike Wall Street, I like upside.
Who won the Price of Right rules? I mean, obviously Russell got it spot on, but he was slightly over.
Right.
Yeah.
There was 1.7 or 1.67 in there somewhere.
We had a
1.69.
1.69. We had. Russell was the closest when it comes numerically at 1.86.
Yeah.
And then we had everybody else
1.85. So he's Price is Right rules. He lost. I don't care if he was closer than us. He lost just as much as we did.
Oh, come on. That is darn close. I cannot say that is not close, man. That's
for analysts, that was a bullseye.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So congratulations to Russell, who wins this year. Paul Guzek hands over the crown to Russell. So congratulations, Russell. Great guests last year. And we'll be looking for your guests for next year, again, by next week. So very good. Very good. So
it's gonna be hard, though, because Elon said this year they're gonna do the semi, like not at pilot production anymore. You've got Giga Texas expanding. You've got Giga Shanghai expanding. Fremont is still, who knows how the hell they're doing it. They're doing stuff.
Yeah.
Giga Nevada is doing their double expansion. This is going to be a tough
Berlin
year.
has ramped
Berlin is
up.
going up, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only one not expanding is Buffalo. And they don't make cars.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Surprise announcement. They do now. No.
That would change the predictions. Yeah.
That would definitely, yes. Yeah, so that's just a rumor at this point. So
that would be
A
phenomenal.
rumor that we just started just now. Just to be clear.
Yeah, the rumor has just left the building. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about V12, and I'm hoping that Casey can talk a little bit about what's going on with version 12 and the revolutionary FSD pack that is supposed to have been released recently.
So V12 beta, 12.1 beta is released to employees, and I think it's gone a little bit wider than just the internal employees group, because a couple of our folks on X have had a chance to experience it. Don't know how that happened, unless it was wider than the typical employee group.
It was apparently 15,000 were added to the release.
So there must have been enough that weren't as cautious with their NDAs and such. So what we're going to see here is the FSD code has shrunk by 300,000 lines of C# C++ code, and now end-to-end trained, from massive training sets of videos and photos to machine actions on the output, and then that trains the neural nets in the car. That will be interesting to see how it does. The way I'm anticipating it is to say that don't expect it to behave any differently than 11 point whatever, because this is the first version that we're going to get to test of the rewrite. So they're going to at least want to get some parity. I would expect it to be like marginally better than what we've got today, but
I would expect it to be marginally worse. Whenever you do a major architecture change
in
like
the same realm,
it has more capability once it's fully developed, but it's always a step back when you have to redo something in a whole different way. And if you look at full self-driving in not just Teslas, but in general, from back to the DARPA challenge.
Oh yeah,
there were at that time people were writing everything by hand, and there are just so many exceptions and corner cases that you cannot account for in human code. You can't explicitly say when it's right here exactly that and this, and you instead have to have AI and neural nets, fuzzy logic, to be able to handle these situations. So more and more of the problem has been taken over by AI. And now, finally, we have end-to-end AI, which it took, I don't know, Tesla's been working on this for 7 years. that long to figure out, oh, you know what? The parts that aren't working are the parts that are not AI. So it seems like the obvious answer now, but you had to go through all that pain to figure that out.
Yeah. Like, I'm still on the old version here, but on the way back from Moto's allergy appointment, a bunch of Canada geese just decided they were going to run to the street, and the car handled it about as well as a teenager would. And then it decided it wanted to keep going, so I pushed the brake. But initially, it kept me from having a massive mistake, and I can only imagine how.
No, that's programmed on purpose. We don't like Canadians down here.
Right.
Yeah.
They do enjoy themselves status here. So,
You be
Mark-
careful with our spies, okay? Don't be running over our spies that are going through your country.
Birds aren't real, man.
so from what I've seen of video of the current versions of 12.1 beta, and yes, Elon did say 12 would be the last, would be the first one that didn't say beta in front of it, but he didn't say which version of 12.
Right.
When he says
the
that, you gotta
technicality. Yes, indeed. The
read,
technicality.
you gotta read it as if Microsoft Corp said it, because there's some tea leaves usually. But from what I've seen of the ones that leaked, it performs about as well as what we've got. As Patrick said, it could be a little worse in some areas, and as I said, it could be a little better in others, just from efficiencies. From there, I think then on the next versions, as we all get to give them our input, I think that we'll start to see the improvements. And I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
Question for you guys.
Yeah.
What about the reduction in code? What does that mean? The number of code lines removed. What is that?
As you guys had mentioned about the coding stuff by hand, this has got a lot of on version 11 dot whatever. And that's
mostly in the path planning. So now
Yeah.
path planning is taken over by a neural network instead.
Yeah. What to do at a red light, wait to turn at a stop sign.
So if that much code has been taken out, you could see some efficiency in the amount of lines of code it doesn't have to process through, because really it's jumping possibly. Does that make any sense?
Right.
It's now running neural nets instead, which tend to actually it all depends. So it still has to do all that same work. It's just how it's doing it. So I wouldn't assume that it's just
any faster.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
More efficient, I would go for it. Like, I would say it's more efficient, and also this would also give them a chance to not have to worry about whether they are going to upgrade the hardware 3 customers to hardware 4, or even have to make a hardware 4 board to fit the hardware 3 slots, because there's a couple different hardware 3 slots they got to fit in, and they don't want to spend that money again. Like it is
again. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of that that they would have to go through. They have spent money on programming, right? This is the early days. They would have spent a lot of money on man hours to put these things in place, and then to go back and decide that you have to make changes, you're really erasing things that you really are doing a second time. But as Patrick mentioned, sometimes you do have to take that half step back to move forward again.
Yeah, Elon kind of follows that Sandy Monroe philosophy of just keep taking stuff off until it doesn't work anymore, and then put the last thing back in there. So
yeah,
I think we should be good there. Another thing that you'll notice is that the hardware 3 computers are actually also in the data center, so they can model how this all works on actual hardware. They're not just, the NVIDIA clusters and the Dojo clusters are not the only things doing the work. So they can actually validate it before it hits even an employee car.
Right.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Well, next, this is kind of a cool thing. Casey and I discussed this a little bit last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, about a little photo Easter egg that was kind of left behind, and we kind of did some research and found out what this was really about. I can share a photo here so you guys can see this. Let's get this up from the X feed. And we've got the Cybertruck, obviously, on some sort of a man-made course. You can see the stone laid out in a hump with railings on both sides. Some action shots of the Cybertruck making its way over this obstacle, showing off the under side carriage of the truck in a number of positions. And there's a little further out shot. So we were kind of wondering, where is this? This off-road kind of course, where could this be? And there was a link to the photos indicating that this was at a Tesla sales center in Rogers, Minnesota. So looked it up on the maps, and this used to be a Hummer dealership. And it turns out that Tesla took over the Hummer dealership, and out front of the dealership, they have a small off-road course that winds off of the display lot between it and the freeway that it's fronting. And they've built some obstacles, some logs, like a corduroy road. They've got this hill climb that we see in front of us here. They've got some uneven terrain in a couple of places. And I thought, what a fantastic advertising opportunity for Tesla now that they have a four-wheel drive vehicle. Previously, when they didn't,
an off-wheel
that would have been questionable. But now that they have one, this is great, and maybe they should think about adding a few of these little courses to some other high-profile dealerships, because and maybe they need a coat of white paint on their fencing here too.
Yeah,
but it's a great little marketing gimmick that they can use at a local showroom, and I think it's a fantastic idea for them to do this.
Yeah.
So
the reason I qualified the off-road four-wheel drive vehicle is somebody showed a picture of an R1S climbing up a 100% grade, which is 45 degrees, and somebody's like, "Your Model X can't do this." I'm like, unless it was like the zombie apocalypse and zombies were behind me, I would take one look at this hill and then go around. Now, if they were behind me, I would put it in very high, and then I would try it. But it's an on-road minivan replacement. It's a UV, not a off-road capable SUV. The Model X.
Right.
So I would definitely try it.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great idea. Like just having a couple of Cybertrucks when, of course, they're not all sold and waiting to go into the hands of customers, but having just one instead of in the showroom, have it out on that hump pointing at the freeway. Like that's a great advertising idea.
Yeah.
Next story. This is a little bit of a sad story. We knew it was coming, but there was a unfortunate accident happened near Redwood, California, just recently. It officially was the first Cybertruck crash, and it appears nobody was injured too badly, so that's a plus. But we can share this photo now, taken as a patrolman from the CHP. CHP was out helping traffic get by. This was a head-on collision on a 2-lane road, and the other car didn't look as good, as you can see from this photo. But again, thankfully, nobody was seriously injured. And the Cybertruck, although it looks like the airbags deployed, this side certainly doesn't look like there's any damage to the vehicle. There obviously has to be if there was a front-end collision, but I think the front side driver side got damaged the most. So
I saw some later dash cam video, and I did some freeze framing, and it doesn't appear that the driver's side front corner had any impact on the same angle, but the other side. However, that doesn't mean that the front didn't have any impact. But from what I could see, there was like dragging severely along the driver's side to the point where the doors aren't in alignment anymore. They're closed.
Okay.
and there was some gouging in there. And CHP said that that the Corolla there was at fault. They left the roadway and then re-entered the roadway. Presuming they meant accidentally or negligently, left the roadway and then said, "Oh crap!" and got back on the roadway. And now the wheels are covered in dirt and leaves and such. And then they managed to collide with the Cybertruck. And I don't know how the Cybertruck ended all the way across the road like that, but could be shock. You're like, "Oh, what's going on there?" And that's what happened. But it looked surprisingly intact. But the fact that the airbags went off told you how major of a collision that was. And who knows what's going to happen to it. Hopefully we can get the driver online on like X, Reddit, Facebook, something, get their side of the story and find out what became of it from their insurance, if they had Tesla insurance or some other company. And then I can't imagine the parts availability is all that great.
Right.
And it was a foundation. It was not a Foundation Series marked one. So if it was a Tesla-owned vehicle, then they would probably just take it in and use it for studying.
That I did not know. I did not know it was a non-Foundation truck.
Same. Because I was thinking that maybe it was just a potato camera and I couldn't see it. But some folks did the reconstruction and said, "No, there's no Foundation badging anywhere on this thing."
Huh. Interesting. Well, we knew that was coming. I remember when the Model 3 came out, it was news when the first Model 3 was in an accident as well. So not a surprise when there's so few of them on the road. And it's such a pity when there's just a couple hundred out there so far.
Man, can you imagine? You've been waiting so long for this vehicle. You get it. You're driving down the road, just a big grin on your face, and then some car swerves off the road, swerves hard on the road and right into you. My new vehicle. No.
Exactly. The only thing that would feel worse is being Richard Hammond or Richard Hammond's wife during the Rimac Navara situation. Because then not only did this happen to like 1 of 5, 1 of 10, 1 of 20, whatever, it's happening to you and it was your fault. You're the one like eating dirt, and it's like, whoa.
It's not like any accident isn't traumatic for the drivers involved. How large or how small it's always bothersome. And I've been in a few accidents, and I know that it just replays in your mind for days, if not weeks, after the event. Glad no one was hurt.
No, Mark. No, everybody must have died because Cybertrucks are a death machine and they can't handle crashes and they have no crumple zones and Tesla doesn't know anything about safety. So you must be reading it wrong. I'm sure everybody's dead.
The only injuries I saw reported in the write-up were minor injuries in the Cybertruck, but who knows what's going on there? I still want to get like an after action and some details because. Like Mark said, the first crash of any car that people care about is news, and you'll see that anytime like the hypercar. We're only making 1,000 of these, and then snap, 3 of them are gone because their owners are dum-dums.
Exactly. Well, I got a quick.
It feels like I found out that there's a new Dodge Dart situation, and people didn't even know it was on sale, and it was like doing poorly. People said, "What? I didn't even know this thing was out there." So I imagine the first crash of that thing probably nobody cared.
I got a quick video I'm going to share right here. Cool. And this, of course, is a couple of Cybertrucks in the back of a car carrier. And they are making their way into Brampton, Ontario. So, yes, that's right. We've got a couple of Cybertrucks that have entered Ontario, the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area. And they're on the back of this car carrier, and they had made a stop in Brampton. And why I'm showing this is because that's the last we saw of the Cybertruck here in Ontario, and I will explain. We've got a situation where this vehicle was actually tracked coming across Port Huron in Michigan. And driving on the 402, one of our major highways through Ontario, and right into the Greater Toronto Area. And there were many reports. Many people filmed it. Maybe many people took pictures as it was driving along. And it stopped in Brampton, which is a suburb of Toronto. And a few cars got off of it. A few other Tesla vehicles were offloaded. And then the truck resumed and left. And we were thinking, oh, okay, maybe it's going to another showroom. But no, nobody knows where it went. One of the CyberTrucks was unloaded in Toronto, but it's been in hiding since last Thursday. Oh, wow. Nobody knows where it is. It's not on display. There's no pictures. There's no leaks on X of people who have seen it or know where it is. It's all hush hush. Now, I wouldn't think that was too strange because they did advertise that the vehicle was going to be on display this Thursday, which is tomorrow. Okay. And it'll be on public display at a local shopping mall in Toronto on Friday. Nice. It's got a private event on Thursday and then public viewing on Friday. But the other truck that stayed on the transport trailer continued on to Montreal, Quebec, which is another 6 hours from Toronto by road. Okay. That truck arrived Thursday evening in Montreal. And that evening, it was unloaded and put on display in Tesla Laval. So I have just teed that our truck that came to Ontario has been hidden now for 7 days. No one can see it until tomorrow. But yet the one that was driven to Montreal that took even longer to get there, it immediately went on display in Laval the night it arrived in the city. So that's my little rant. I'm upset, and there's nothing I can do about it. But I thought I would relay the story to those interested.
I wonder what the situation is there, because the
store manager took it home and is driving it around. And
like he wouldn't be spotted. Yeah, like he wouldn't be spotted. Like there wouldn't be people camped out in his driveway overnight.
Maybe they scratched it really badly as they undid the hold downs or something.
Now on our Twitter feed, which is at the Tesla Life, if you want to follow us through the week, we had put out the question, why is this missing? Why is this in hiding? And we had a number of guesses. One of them was, well, maybe the Tesla employees were given the ability to look over the vehicle and learn a little bit about it. No, because the one in Montreal went on the next day. And secondly, the trucks that are on display aren't even open. No one's allowed to go in them. No one's allowed to open the door. In fact, we've heard that the one in Montreal, there's only one person in the location that's authorized to clean the vehicle from dust. Oh, wow. So this thing is under lock and key. They don't want people near it, and they want accountability. And that seems to be kind of the case. Why this thing has been sequestered under being hid for 7 days, that's just bizarre. I cannot think of a good reason, except if it was damaged and they have to get something fixed before. But I don't know. I just don't. I don't think that would be the case.
Because, or maybe they're eventually going to allow test drives or something, or opening them up. But otherwise, it would have to be something cosmetic. One thing that I did see that was interesting was I think it was like Czech. They had 90 or so, 60 to 90 of the celebration dance, and then after that, somebody put another photo from inside a service center or delivery center, where they were doing a similar deal, but there was like a smoky essence in the back wall.
Yeah.
And if you zoomed in, the Cybertruck was in its native habitat of just with the beam cutting through the smoke, and you can see the light bar. I was like, why did they make that one dance as well? The light was on, so clearly the person with the key was there.
And I have seen one of the delivery centers brought in a smoke machine after it was there for a few days, and they turned the smoke machine on to give it another effect. But nice. That's kind of cool. But I'm sure that person's been fired for blowing the smoke onto the Cybertruck. I'm sure they're gone. But
you made the dust guy have to dust it again.
and this is a great segue, because our next story, and Casey probably knows about this, is about the Model Y that was smoking in some
Yes.
way that maybe wasn't smoking. What's this about?
Speaking of blowing smoke, yeah.
Yeah.
So MrSupercharger.com says if you know all that water that your car puts down underneath it in the middle of the summer when you're supercharging, it's probably going to do the same thing in the wintertime. But if the temperature is in a certain range, it doesn't just freeze immediately, and it's still warm enough that it can kind of sort of make water, but the heat pump is running to keep the battery and everything at the right temperature, keep you warm. And so when the water hits that interface, it turns into vapor, right? And water vapor has a certain look to it. And once you add a little bit of airflow, you should learn the difference between water and steam. So this individual is new to their car, and they were supercharging in the perfect temperature zone to get the steam to come out from under the hood after the heat pump does its thing. And they got out, and before checking on it, do get out, do get the family if you think it is fire. But generally, the Tesla will let you know that something's gone wrong. So you'll have warnings on the dash. But the next thing the person did, instead of verifying that it was actually smoke, they called the fire department. Fire department arrives. They're standing around, scratching their heads because the smoke isn't coming from any places that any of their training shows that the smoke should be coming from on an EV. One of them decides to kind of check it out. Hey, this is steam. And so now you've wasted taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, and we had a quick tip, a PSA, is that if you do think it's smoke and it's not, there's no open flame, you're not seeing any flame air, smell the smoke. Yes. Does it smell smoky? Because if it's water vapor, if it's steam, it's odorless. There is no smell. Right. So that would be a quick way of understanding as to whether or not it's smoke or steam. If there's a smell, it's not steam.
The other thing is the location. If it's coming from like under the frunk area, it's probably not. If it's coming down from like near the rocker panels, the bottoms of the doors, of the corners, and it's kind of coming out like a jet, that is probably smoke. And then if you see like open flame coming out of that same spot, then yeah, it's on fire. But also you'll probably again see a message on the screen about exit vehicle immediately or stop vehicle safely, something to that effect. And at that point, do gather the family and any important documents that are on the seat and make haste out of there.
Yeah, but I do have to say that this person, when they noticed the issue, unplugged from the supercharger, got their family out of the vehicle, and then called the 911 from the safety of outside the vehicle. So
yeah,
I can't blame them too much, especially being someone that's brand new to it and has never seen that before. I've never seen that with my car. It might be a little bit disconcerting if you were to see white. You
don't have a heat pump.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. So if you have a heat pump, which all vehicles now have a heat pump, but previously older vehicles had radiant heat, and that was not a thing. So, but going forward, those who own Model 3 or Y, this could happen. Just be aware. It's also in the owner's manual, right? There's a little bit of a write-up on that.
Yeah. And that's why they were clowning this guy all over the internet for a day or two. I don't fault him for what he did. I mean, that was the safest approach. But even the fire department was making fun of him. They ended up releasing a video about how to tell if your car is steaming or smoking, and not to waste their time. But again, better safe than sorry. So I'm not mad at the guy. It's just that a little bit of checking to see if it was actually smoke would have saved everybody some time. But this also at the same time is a learning experience for everybody who wasn't standing there. And again, while it is most likely going to happen to vehicles with the heat pump, if the conditions are just perfect, us older owners can have it happen too.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the next story. And Patrick, did you see these photos that were at the Las Vegas Loop recently? Since we're talking about Cybertruck a lot on this particular podcast, did you happen to see those photos?
I did not. No.
Well, I'm going to share them, so you're lucky.
Okay, cool.
You're lucky. I
can see it
actually
now.
brought them to the show. So
Great.
here we go. We've got the star of the show. We've got the Cybertruck has shown up at the Vegas Loop, and apparently is driving the tunnels. So it fits. That's a good thing because you would hate to get this thing stuck in a tunnel. I would think it's going to take more than your casual plumber to get it out. But it is a good thing that it is able to go through the tunnels. Of course, they measured, they knew this. But this is interesting because, of course, what is Las Vegas but a huge people magnet? And what is happening in Las Vegas starting, I believe, Friday or over the weekend? We've got the biggest electronic consumer show, CES, is kicking off in Las Vegas. And of course, it's at the convention center where the tunnel is for the Vegas Loop. And it appears that the Cybertruck is there to be a extra piece of advertising for Tesla, as there's going to be thousands of people that will be taking the Tesla Loop back and forth to this convention, and getting a glimpse of the stainless steel Cybertruck in the tunnel is going to be something that people going there are going to be able to keep their eyes looking for. And for those that are unsuspecting, it's a great little advertisement for Tesla. As we mentioned about the off-road course, this is even better. You are going to have the eyeballs of tens of thousands of people to be able to gaze upon your new entry into the pickup world.
If the Duster guy is also trained as a loop operator driver, then maybe they could put some people in there as used as a loop vehicle for the week. That would be fun.
Yeah.
The other question I'm concerned at is, I didn't realize that there was any contention about whether it would fit or not, because the prototype, Jay Leno and Elon drove it through, and
exactly what I was going to say.
And this one is smaller.
Mm-hmm.
I was just saying that for the joke, Casey.
Oh, no, you probably realized it, but I was
going for the plumber joke, and it worked.
Yeah. JT got a good joke there too. Just need butter to get it out. No big deal. I love that one.
but the part that concerned me was not that you guys said it, but the fact that it was such a contention all over the internet. It's like, doesn't everybody know this is smaller than the one that did this last time?
Yeah, so that's great. Again, advertising opportunity tremendous with the amount of people that go to that conference, and that will be there over the week that the show is there. That's going to be a big plus for Tesla advertising. Again, Tesla doesn't advertise, but yet they do in different ways, and this is one of those ways. So,
well, they do now.
Yeah. They do some advertising, but to Mark's point, if you make a really compelling product, it sells itself. It's interesting. People want to see it, and that's way better than spending $1 billion on a Super Bowl ad. Put that into your products instead.
Exactly. Yeah, there was a Elon tweet today where he was basically quoting a movie. Where might have been a podcast. Either way, the guy was saying basically, I designed products for me, and then after that, people will want to buy them.
I guess it depends on who you are and what your tastes are. For some people, that's true. For others, not so much.
but rather than the design by committee, focus groups, and this and that, I mean, he did do a little bit of crowdsourcing with all of us, but ultimately, he was still building it for himself.
Yep. And since we're on the Cybertruck topic, I got one more story. I'm sure there'll be more, but we've got another story about an Easter egg.
There we go.
Got this quick little video that if you triple click on the window, you get broken windows. You too can be Franz. And throw that ball bearing at the side of your vehicle anytime you wish, and it'll repair itself, which is even better. So that's fantastic. That talk about putting a great little Easter egg in place in the Cybertruck. That is fantastic work by the Tesla team to put that little Easter egg in place.
You can even hear Elon say, "Oh my God," when you do it.
And if you're interested beyond that, with all our stories, we put the links in the notes, and you can follow the link to the YouTube channel and check that out in its full glory. As these two just discovered it by mistake. They were actually thinking they were trying to perform something, and the truck wasn't responding on the screen, so they started going crazy with the clicks, and just by chance they had clicked the window panes 3 times. If you spin the truck around to the opposite side and try those windows won't break. It's only the driver's side will break, only the first 2. So just like Franz, you can perform that anytime you wish.
Well, they were even in the same position as the Franz cracks.
So
it'd be funny if you went to the other side and you do it. A baseball hits it and doesn't do anything. That would be funny.
But that was the driver's side too, wasn't it? No, it was the passenger side. Yeah. Come on, Tesla, make the baseball Easter egg.
Easter egg number 2. But no, that's fantastic. I love the attention to detail there, and I love that they put it out, and we as owners have to figure this stuff out ourselves. And report on it. That's fantastic. Next story. This is interesting. Since of course a number of the Cybertrucks, the first releases, have been out there, there's probably at this point a few dozen that are out in the wild. We see pictures from Joe in Austin, who does the overhead videos of the factory. Joe's channel is showing the number of vehicles that are being produced and parked and then loaded onto car carriers and shipped away. So, we're probably getting close to I would guesstimate over 100 vehicles at this point for sure, maybe approaching 200, where they're getting these vehicles shipped out. Not that we're keeping an accurate count, but there are numbers that are leaving. And one of the numbers that was sold to a Tesla employee, in fact, this person was a software engineer that got this particular vehicle. They immediately after getting their truck, got it wrapped free of charge from one of the wrapping companies that wanted to get their hands on it. And they're the ones that wrapped it in a emerald green with carbon fiber accents. Looks very nice, that dark emerald green. And they decided they were going to go on a road trip from their current location in Austin over towards Phoenix area. So they took the vehicle out. They went on this long few days road trip, and they documented what they were doing as they were going along. They made a few videos, he and his wife, and they did a supercharge session where they actually recorded the state of charge on arrival, and they mapped out how long it took and what state of charge they went up to at the Supercharger. So I believe they went from a 20% area up to a 90% at this particular Supercharger. It took them just over an hour to do so. And of course, people analyzing the video were quick to indicate that they were a little bit displeased with the speed of charge and the ramp down over time as the vehicle filled up. And again, you have to realize that they're going 10% beyond the 80%, which is where you typically do if you're looking for speed. They weren't looking for speed. They were staying in the city. It didn't matter to them. So they went to 90%. But what was kind of interesting was that the ramp was pretty dramatic, and the speed, the charging was longer. And of course, we have to understand that the battery in this truck is much larger than a typical Tesla. We're at 125 kilowatt hour in this particular vehicle, over our typical 75 or so in our Model 3s or Model Ys. So there is a definite difference that way. I also wanted to
half the voltage of the system.
Yes, that's a good point from MrSupercharger.com.
And the other thing is that let's keep in mind that when Tesla releases a new vehicle, they typically will caution on the slower side when they first release it, because they want to collect the data of these vehicles charging, and they want to see what the vehicle ramps up to, what the temperature's like on the battery at the start, at the middle, at the end. They want to see how that battery's performing in different conditions. And I can guarantee anyone that owns a Cybertruck, Tesla is watching remotely what you do to that vehicle when you plug it in at any point, whether it's at L2 at your house or it's at a supercharger. They're definitely going to be analyzing how that vehicle is handling the charges in different scenarios, what the ambient temperature is, how long the vehicle took, what the altitude was at that supercharger, everything. I am sure they're going over with a fine-tooth comb, because this is part of their process where they start to understand if that battery's performing to the specifications that they had designed it to. And they always caution on it being a little bit slower at the beginning. We saw this, of course, with the Model 3. I remember people complaining about the speed of a standard range Model 3 charging because they felt it was slow. And that's right. Tesla had throttled it down because they wanted to make sure that that battery pack was performing within the standards that they had set for it. And they indeed ramped it up over time as they understood that the battery was performing within spec.
That does assume, of course, that you've got the box checked for send data back to Tesla, and also assuming that they haven't graded out for you to not be able to uncheck it.
Yes.
Yeah, so I assume they're going to collect data like this for at least the first year, because they want to see it in summer and in winter. And then they'll also, with that year of time, be able to look at the degradation that's occurred, if any, or to what level it's occurred. And then they can roll out software updates that will improve the charging curve. But like you said, Mark, you want to start making sure nobody's going to be happy if their batteries start degrading rapidly. And so you want to make sure you don't do that. So you start out a little conservative, you collect the data, you see what the numbers are, and after you have significant amount of data, you can change it, because this is a different vehicle, a larger pack, the cyber cells. So there's a lot of new things here. So you have to be conservative.
Yeah. You were one of the Model X owners, along with me, that saw a major dip in the charge speeds, only for them to return sometime before your trade-in, right? Not that you supercharge all that much.
Yeah, I don't supercharge all that much. So I did notice that the second trip to San Diego seemed to go a lot faster, but I wasn't keeping logs or anything.
What was your point on that, Casey? Just that they made changes?
They slowed our charging down just to make sure that they didn't damage the pack. They determined that there was no damage being done, and they restored it. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's exactly right. And Casey, you've got a perfect analogy there. Is that you can block the transmission of data to Tesla if you wish. That is, if they haven't graded out on the Cybertruck, which may be the case, because with so few on the road, I am sure that they want to collect as much data as they can for all those vehicles as they start to roll out into customer hands. And again, a lot of these customers are Tesla employees. So similar to what we saw with the Model 3 rollout, employees got them first because, of course, they're a more friendly audience than anybody else. And if there is some sort of an issue or problem that they notice, they certainly are going to have a direct line of communication back to Tesla for them to look at or address or fix if it's required. So not a surprise here.
For fixing what they found.
Yeah. So that is... that's the news that's fit the print for this week. So we appreciate everybody watching. Any shout-outs for the crowd? Let's start with you, Patrick.
Okay, so last week on the show, I talked about the Powerwall export rules and how my system was not participating when we had VPP events, and how PGE said you have to call Tesla, and I did a quick call, and they enabled that. But then it started exporting everything during peak times, and so I was able to tweak the pricing rules under time of use and fixed all of that. And the folks at PGE were at first concerned that they're like, I don't know if you should be exporting all that. And then so they escalated that internally and got back to me and said, oh yeah, you're in the VPP program. That gives you right to export whatever you want, whenever you want. It doesn't have to be during just VPP events. And so that's cool. So that all turned out good. And then speaking of electricity rates in Portland General Electric, at the start of the year, so 2 days ago, rates all went up 17%, which is a big jump. Yeah. And Portland General is the biggest electric utility in the state. So if you're in that area, your solar panels, if you have them, just got 17% more valuable.
Yeah. In for people with their own power generation on their roof, for sure.
Right.
Not so much for the people that don't have it. That's a bit of a shocker. 70% is a large increase.
17. Yeah.
Like that's nearly 1/5. Like that's a really healthy jump. But we're Portland residents aware this was coming, Patrick?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's been talked about for the last 6 months, and in fact, Portland General did a press release saying this was not caused by electric vehicles, which was one of the things that was going around. Which I thought it was funny that they would even explicitly address it, because it was they talked about why they needed it, and we have a pretty strong. It's called the Citizens Utility Board, or CUB. And so all rate changes have to go through CUB to be approved. And so they have to be able to justify it. They have to show that they're using it to meet environmental goals or other things or fire prevention. And so it was well vetted, and EVs were not the cause.
Haven't you heard they're not selling very well? So why wouldn't they be the cause of all of our power consumption?
If anything, they help because they're mostly charging off hours, which means you're getting all the infrastructure that you already have in place. You're now able to sell more of your product, which makes your infrastructure more valuable. It amortizes it better. So if anything, EVs help bring down rates, not the other way around.
Exactly.
And as more vehicles like the Cybertruck start to hit the road and vehicle to grid continues to grow, they're going to be able to supplement the utilities power grid and keep costs down as well. So there's lots of pluses for EVs when it comes to electric utilities. It's probably part of the reason why they said this is not an electric vehicle issue. They don't want to sour anybody on electric vehicles because they know it's part of their future.
Yes, yeah. PGE's been very supportive. They've sponsored our events in the past for the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. They used to even sponsor our meeting place in the World Trade Center in downtown Portland. So yeah, they've been really supportive of the EV movement in general.
Very good.
Yeah, let me do my normal shout outs. I blog occasionally at carswithcords.net. Check that out. And as always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org. And I blog about a future free from fossil fuels. Check it out.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Mr. Green, what do you got for shout outs for the crowd today?
Well, let's start with a shout out to my friend Kyle Connor, who managed to obtain a CyberTruck, and he decided he was going to try to CCS charge it to see if they could get the 1,000 volts into it. And, well, let's just say that the CCS adapter doesn't fit on the wheel arch. So what did Kyle do? He removed the wheel arch and the charge port door cover.
Wow. I hope it was the loader and he can put it back.
It's designed to come off and be easily replaceable in case you happen to yank it on a tree on the trail or something.
Okay, good.
But to find out what happened, go check out It's Kyle Connor on X or Out of Spec. They have a series that's going in typical fashion. It's the first one is like an hour and a half long, and then there are more, but they're not out yet. And those are the kind of videos that I'm all about. You can also find me Sunday at youtube.com at Casey Green, and I'll be at 1:10 Eastern. And then sometimes you'll find our friends on there as well, and we'll be talking about Tesla and all the green living, and also future free from fossil fuels. But
Nice.
hope to see you there.
Very good. Very good. Well, we thank all of you for watching with us today. If you haven't already, give us that thumbs up. Press that subscribe button. It helps out small channels like us, and we would really appreciate it. It doesn't cost you a dime. And with that, we will get together next Wednesday, and together we will find out what's happening in the Tesla life.
Thank you,
Stay
Lee Moon.
positive. Test negative.
Have a great week, everyone.